Welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Do you feel stuck, silent, and stressed? Is something hurting your heart and soul? Are you burning yourself out? If so, you are in the right place because this is the podcast people from all over the world join in to learn exactly how to stop suffering and start living with inner peace and joy. Let's get started. Last episode, I was talking to you about how so many of us can really just compromise with our inner peace and joy, compromise with the quality of life that we can live, life of inner peace and joy, a life of meaning and purpose, a life that's full of enthusiasm and passion. We make this compromise and we live with the sense of suffering, discontent, that comes with that compromise. And many people they live their entire lives and they die with these feelings still in their hearts or in their minds. And I think that's just a really, really sad thing. You know, it's like our lives are so short and our lives are so precious. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? What can be more important than doing whatever we need to do to achieve inner peace and joy in our lives, to live with inner peace and joy in our lives every moment, every day? One of the reasons why we may do this to ourselves is because we don't know any better. In that, hey, every decision that we make, I really do believe that we make the best decisions that we can with what we know and what we have. You know, so even if you are making a decision to stay in your comfort zone and just follow along the path that's been laid out for you by society, by the dominant culture that you're a part of, and you decide to just follow along with it, even though you know inside that this is not the path for you, that there's something missing in your life, in your heart, as you walk along this prescribed path. You need to go somewhere different, do something different. But thing is that you don't know what that other thing is. You see? It's like you don't know. It's like if you leave this path, where are you going to go? If you don't know where you can go, where you should go, where you need to go, when you leave this path, it can really paralyze you. How many of us really have the courage to take off in the unknown, into the unknown? It's like, I have no idea what the right path for me is. I just know that this is not the right path. How many of us have that kind of courage, that kind of audacity to just leave what we know and just venture off into the unknown? Most of us don't have that kind of spirit. We just don't. It's the truth. Okay? So, for us, to make it possible for us to make it possible for ourselves to take the courageous step of stepping away from the well-trodden path that society has shown us and venturing off in a different direction, we need to first become more clear about where we do need to go and have a sense of, okay, this is how I'm going to deal with it. As I step off the trodden path and I head off in my new direction, I need to have a better sense of what's coming and what's required of me, and so on and so forth. I know that's how I am. It's like I need a sense of clarity, a sense of vision of what I'm moving towards before I can give up and stop going where I'm going right now. And if that's the way you are too, that's cool. You know what? We all have natural tendencies. We all have personalities that we are born with. And it's important that we learn to love and accept ourselves for who we are and just as we are. There's no point in blaming and judging ourselves and being like, oh, I just don't have that kind of courage. I just don't have that kind of spontaneous, what's the word? The ability to be spontaneous like so many people do. Or, yeah, it's like absolutely one of my biggest weaknesses is like this. When I'm stressed, when I'm faced with a threat, my tendency is to freeze or slow way down. So because, like for me, it's like, oh my God, I don't like feeling out of control. I don't like chaos. It just, and I've become, by the way, a lot better over the years at dealing with this. So now my threshold for what feels chaotic or unmanageable or scary has risen way up, from what it used to be. So now I can manage all kinds of crises even that I couldn't have imagined a few years ago. But I've grown and I've learned. This was, in fact, I will tell you, one of the many things that I've done in my life over the last so many years for me to be where I am today is like I realized that I have this weakness and this tendency, like I just don't like drama, didn't really feel confident and capable of handling especially high emotions, like intense emotions, whether it was my own emotions or anyone else's. And I really found it holding me back in my life and really limiting my possibilities and what I was able to do in my life and not. So I decided I was going to I had to do something about it. So what I did, an opportunity that came up for me was to take a training in becoming a crisis counselor, a crisis intervention counselor. So I actually got trained in how to work with survivors of rape and domestic violence and help them through their crises, their moments of crisis. So like literally, when I was, for 4 years, I was working on a rape and domestic violence hotline as a crisis counselor. So when I got calls from people on the hotline, these people were in crisis. There were a lot of people who are like, and everybody expresses their emotions and crisis in a different way. Some people were like crying, others maybe screaming or shouting, like just really angry and needing to take out that anger and frustration. Other people were just like really, really depressed and hopeless. And it was just like everything in between, right? So it's like just a lot of challenging emotions. And you can imagine, it's like if I don't know how to deal with my own emotions, or I don't learn how to manage my own emotions, how can I help anyone else deal with theirs? So that is why I'm so grateful for having gone through that training, because not only did it help me to help other people, but it helped me so much and helped me grow so much myself, and gave me so much more confidence in my own ability and capacity to manage crisis and deal with crisis. So, these are all things that we can learn, and we can get better and learn to manage our weaknesses. If we have a certain weakness, we can learn to manage it and become better and better at managing it over time. But in most cases, if you have a certain weakness, it'll probably never become a strength, or not one of your top strengths. Or if it does become a strength, it'll just take a long, long time and a lot of hard work before you get to the point in your growth where your weakness has become a strength. For most people, in most cases, most of these weaknesses that we have, they will not become strengths, but we can learn to manage them so that they do not inhibit us or cripple us. We can learn to work with them, we can learn to work around them, and so on and so forth. And that's what I've done for myself with a lot of my different weaknesses. Okay, so this gives you hope, right? This gives you hope that if you're struggling with this weakness, like, oh my gosh, if I don't have a sense of clarity about where I need to be going, then I can't just step out into that. No, that's okay. You can learn to manage it, and you can learn to get better at dealing with it. But in the meanwhile, you still need to continue to live your life. And rather than beating yourself up about it, rather than blaming and judging yourself for having this weakness, you say, no, I choose to love and accept myself just as I am. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Those people who are so courageous in the ways that you and I may not be so courageous, they have other issues that they struggle with that are points of strength for you and me. Okay? So, that's one thing. Now the thing is, okay, so we have this issue. We need a sense of clarity before we can actually, take the courageous decision and the step of striving for a life that we love, that is aligned with our life meaning and purpose. We actually need to become clear on our life meaning and purpose. Okay, so then the central question for you, if you're in this situation, is how do you gain clarity on your life meaning and purpose? It's like, okay, why do you not already have clarity on your meaning and purpose? What's the essential solution? What's the most easy and effective way that you can gain clarity on your life meaning and purpose? I guess that's the real question, right? It's like, okay, we've been talking about the problems and the challenges in the last few episodes around, okay, what happens if you don't know your life meaning and purpose, and what can stop you from living your life meaning and purpose and all that kind of stuff. But now it's like, okay, let's get to the solution. What is the best, easiest way to get in touch with your life meaning and purpose, to become clear on your life meaning and purpose? So I'll tell you, I've already given the answer away, to be quite honest, in last episodes and other episodes. of the podcast. So you should already know the answer. You already know the answer. In fact, that's part of the answer. It's that, guess what? You already know the answer to what your life meaning and purpose is. You do. You think you don't, but you do. And guess what? You're the only one who can discover that answer too. No one else can tell you what your life meaning and purpose is. No one else can discover it for you. No one else can figure it out for you. You are the only one who can figure this out. And the thing is, it's not like some big puzzle that you need to put together to figure out either. I mean, it feels like that to a lot of us, right? But that, I'll tell you why it feels like that, why it feels like such a puzzle. It's because you're trying to figure it out from your mind. Okay, and this is not an area of expertise for the mind. This is not something that your mind knows, and it's not something that's easy for your mind to figure out. I won't get into why. It's just part of how the mind works. It's part of what, the way the mind works. It has the way it's built, the way it functions at a very core level. There are certain constraints to what your mind can and cannot do. And the issue of your life meaning and purpose, when you look at it or try to look at it and figure it out from your mind, it's an immensely complex problem. It has too many different variables and pieces. That's why it's so difficult for your mind to figure it out. What you need is a holistic perspective, a big picture perspective on your life to figure out what your life meaning and purpose is. And do you know which of your faculties is an expert at a holistic perspective? It's your heart, it's your soul. Your heart and soul just naturally perceive wholeness. Your heart and soul actually struggle to break things down into little bits and pieces in terms of how they perceive and process things. They process at the level of wholeness. And that's why if you want the answer to what your life meaning and purpose is, which requires a holistic perspective of your life, you need to connect with your heart, with your soul, with your inner wisdom to figure out the answer. And when you connect with your heart, with your soul, with your inner wisdom, you'll just discover the answer. You will. It's already in there. Your heart already knows. Your soul already knows. Your inner self already knows. It's already connected to the big picture of your life. So it already knows. You just have to look inside, look within, and discover it. Recognize it, realize it, bring it to your consciousness. And it's so easy. I'm telling you, it's so easy, and it's so... I mean, I can't tell you, like, when I first went through this process myself of connecting with my inner wisdom, my heart and soul, how easily the answer emerged, how almost instantaneously the answer just came up. I was like, wow, really? Is it really that? Is it really that simple? Can it really be that simple? And I see the clients that I work with now, helping the clients figure out their life meaning and purpose. I see so many of them having that same kind of experience where they're like, wow, this was so easy. It's like amazing. See? So it's like, okay, if you're using the wrong tools for the wrong job, of course you're going to struggle. So stop the struggle. Stop the unnecessary struggle. Use the right tool for the right purpose. The right tool for the purpose of discovering your life meaning and purpose is your heart, your soul, your best self, your inner wisdom, whatever you want to call it. So the question is, do you know how to connect with your heart and your soul and have this conversation, to ask these questions and receive those answers and feel confident, like when you hear the answer back, to know confidently that it is in fact the voice of your heart and your soul that are speaking to you. I can't tell you like how many times my clients have asked me, it's like, Samia, how do we know? Like, how do I know this is really my heart talking or my soul talking? You know, because a lot of times those answers that you get from your heart and soul are surprising. They're surprising in their simplicity. They're surprising in their elegance. Mostly they're surprising in their simplicity. It's like, really? Is that simple? And sometimes they're surprising in just how drastically different a direction they take you in from where your mind was taking you. And so it's like, you know, sometimes you need some help and support just to make sure just that you're really hearing your heart and mind and you're hearing it accurately. So if you need that help and support, you know what to do. You can get in touch with me. You know how. Just go to my website at www.academyofthriving.com. Click on the Contact Us page, and you will see how you can connect with me. So if this is something that you want to do specifically with me when you connect, let me know that this is specifically what you want to work on. And one of the best ways we can work on this together is you allow me to take you through an inner peace strategy session, because that session is focused on us identifying whatever the challenges that you are really struggling with, the root cause of that challenge, figure out a solution, and figure out your next best steps to resolving that challenge and issue. Okay, so make sure you request a complimentary inner peace strategy session with me when you do connect by going on my website. So until we connect next time, I wish you lots of peace and joy.